SL Podcast.
The business behind the headlines.
Guys, today we're touring this 300-unit student housing project, joined by the project executive, James Duke. So let's go.
One of the first things we try to do on every project is study the logistics of the site, understand who our neighbors are, understand the safety parameters, the things that we need to put in place to not only keep our workers safe, but keep the citizens of the city safe from our site. Okay. So one of the things we want to do is set up the perimeter barricades to make sure that no one can walk into our site and trip and fall, hurt themselves.
Yes.
And
because then it's going to be your responsibility. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a huge liability to not setting up the parameters to keep the project safe and also keep the residents of the city safe as well. So one of the struggles that we will have here shortly, starting in August, the students will be moving into this student housing project here. So there's some coordination that we have to have with the residents here so that when we are going vertical on our project, that we will be able to allow them to get into and move in.
You cut the street so much, right?
Yeah.
Because here, I mean, you're already encroaching a little bit on the road, right?
Correct. So here is our construction site, and I'm going to now, if you want, I'll get this open and then we'll just kind of stand in and take a look.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when.
So basically here, we have all of the first columns. And now do you have slab on grade, or are you going to wait for slab on grade later?
No, we're going to wait for slab on grade later. But that's going to be dictated by our shoring system. We may need to put in the slab on grade in the first quarter of this area because the soils may not be stable enough. So we're preparing, we're making preparations for that. So we're currently backfilling the area right now, making sure all of our underground utilities are in if we decide to do it, because we want to be able to put a firm foundation for the mud seals that the shoring feet, legs have to sit on. And one of the problems in South Florida, in the next month or so, we're gonna get a lot of rain. Sure. And so what ends up happening, you got shoring supporting the decks above, and if you get rain and you start washing out on this soil, then you lose your footing. Right. And so you have to be constantly checking. So to me, one of the advantages of getting the slab on grade in a lot sooner than later in a climate like this in the wet season is soil erosion and things like that could actually become a safety impediment.
I see.
How many months ago did you start?
We actually started in late March, mid-March we started. And we experienced a few challenges on the project. We had to overcome a few setbacks with dewatering.
So that we don't have the noise from the cars.
Yeah, we had to overcome some setbacks with dewatering.
Dewatering?
Yes,
the water table was really high.
Yeah, water table here is about at a 6, which is that we're at a 7. Yes. So we're about 3 feet down, 4 feet down. In some areas we have a high water table. So as you can see, the first lifts of columns are in, and to kind of speed this process up, they're trying to get this back area backfill and compact it. And once we get this first quarter of the site backfill, this area will serve as a laydown area for the steel that is going to allow us to build the mat slab. So if you see the red crane base just to the north here, northwest, That next to that red crane base is a mat slab, a huge mat slab that carries the core of the first core of the tower.
Right.
And that mat slab has about 80 piles in it. And so the steel that's going to come in to build that mat slab, we have to build a laydown area for it. And when I mentioned dewatering, that mat slab the bottom of it sits in the water table. And
What's the height of that slab?
the height of the slab is about 10 feet thick.
Okay.
And it sits about 5 feet into the water table.
Wow, that's pretty
And
big.
it's roughly about 50 feet, I would say about 50 by 50, almost a square. And it's going to be a huge undertaking because the water table is high, and with the rain, it's going to be even a little bit higher. And it's a huge volume of water that needs to be pumped. So to the west, we have a sedimentation tank. So we'll put the pumps in as we're digging, and we have to pump over to what's called an exfiltration trench. That exfiltration trench will allow the discharge waters that we pump from that hole into it to let the sediments settle out of the water.
Do you have like a well or something?
No, we don't have a well. So the city of Sweetwater does not allow drainage wells.
Okay.
So what we have to do is create a drainage trench that we pump into. So the trench handles some of the water and allows some water to percolate back into the substrate. The other, we suck that water out of the trench after the sediments have fallen out, and we pump it over to the sedimentation tank, and then from there it goes to the outfall to the canal.
Okay, I see.
Which allows us to dewater.
Go to the
a
canal.
significant
To
portion.
build a column, it takes 1 day or maybe 2.
To build these columns,
Or to build one,
it takes let's say about 3 days.
3 days.
3 days, the guys come in. They're able to set let me back up. About a day and a half, 2 days to tie all the steel on the ground. About a day to set everything. And then after they get everything set, about a day or two to close it up, the columns. And then obviously 1 day to just the trucks come in and they pour it.
And how deep are you here?
How deep? As far as the deep foundation, I think our piles go about 80 feet deep.
80?
80.
Compared to a
80.
house, usually, what is it?
We're doing a house right now that is really like the
Waterfront.
soil is very very sandy, and we have to go 47 feet deep.
Yeah.
Like
Imagine
that's a lot for a house. That's
It's
a lot.
double, and here it's not waterfront.
Imagine like they go 80, but they are gonna go 20 stories high.
Yeah,
we are
but look at
3 floors.
But our load is not so concentrated
Right.
because we're spread wide. So our load is being spread out over a much longer, a wider footprint. Also, the mat slabs are carrying a lot of all of the load, the vertical load, and so and plus we have a little bit firmer soils here. We're sitting on limestone base. So
Hey, let's turn around so I can show everybody.
Yeah, soils are
Same time.
pretty stable here. So we're thinking from start to finish on the shell, it'll take us about maybe 10 to 11 months to top out the building.
Right.
Okay.
And while we're going vertical, we'll start our masonry block going in, hopefully 4 floors below my shell, my slab, elevated decks. I should start bringing in windows and start getting this thing buttoned in, so
Nice.
that by the time we get to the next rainy season, I got interior work going on, and
You can work. You can work because
Yeah,
when
we
it's
can
raining here, you kind of have to
Yeah.
stop, right?
yeah,
And so what's the area here? What's going to happen here exactly? This is like a
this is
like
your lobby
entrance, and the garage is going to be in the back.
Yes.
And then above the lobby, you have all the apartments. How many floors of garage are you going to have?
Actually, for apartments, it's funny. So above this 14 or 15 foot lobby level, our level 2 actually has residential units on it, So from 2 up to 7 residential on this side.
Okay.
And then it skips level 8, which is our amenity level, and then it picks up again on levels 9 through 20 would be residential area.
Nice. And that's the project you're talking about, the student housing that you're gonna have to deal with as you're building. You have to deal with all the students coming in and out, and you cannot really close the street, right? So, and also here you have something, so you cannot really do much on this side, right? So how are you gonna deal with that when?
Well, it's called coordination. It's called coordination. We'll sit down. We'll have a meeting with the residents, or not residents, but the managers of that building. They tell us what their schedule is, and we will tell them what our schedule is. And what we may do is, with the understanding that they move in on the 21st, is just a one-day move-in, because they do still have students and just regular families living in that building. So what we would do is on the 21st, we may not have any trucks moving in because it's a liability for doing something like that. So we let them do what they need to do, and then on the 22nd, we pick back up. All right.
So it's just a one-day thing.
Yeah, it's just a one-day thing. Thank God it's not a one-week thing, because it would be a significant slowdown to the process. Another thing that we haven't talked about is what happens when you go vertical. So I'm going to show you something that's critical for any development project. So let's wait for a second. So the one thing that I always try to do on every project, get to know your neighbors.
Right.
These are our neighbors, and to the right are also our neighbors. So you always get to know your neighbors and take videos of existing damage. So one day, someone crashed into this.
Oh yeah?
Ooh.
Yeah, so we took pictures of it, of the before conditions, so that no one could come back to the contractor and say that we did it. One night, the students, I guess somebody drank a little too much, and they ran off the curb, and they broke that
right here,
that corner down there. So we like to get in, assess the existing conditions, and make sure that if anything that we do that disturbs their property or causes an issue with their property, that we rectify it really quick. So when you start going vertical, what happens in high winds is that concrete, mortar, paint, it tends to go airborne. So we have to be cognizant of our neighbors and put in certain measures to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes.
And when we do that, it saves a lot of money, because it costs money to clean cars. It costs money to call out the serve pros to come out and repaint buildings or wash windows and so forth. So we try to be good neighbors and good construction citizens to make sure that everybody is happy. As we also go vertical, we're going to be monitoring sediment and vibration. In light of the thing that happened with the Champlain Towers, we want to be also cognizant of if we ever have to drill or we bring out vibration compactors, that we're also being cognizant that, hey, we're within a certain proximity of residential multifamily buildings and so forth.
And you don't want construction like dust and everything to come right next to the car wash.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You can wash your car and you right dirty right away.
You just wash your car and then bam.
Yeah, I think that
they would complain, right?
So yeah, we're hoping to get our tower crane soon here. It's been a challenge. Usually when a project is ready to go vertical, the tower crane is in place, but FAA on this project has been a little slow in responding to the application. So we've had to work around that by bringing in what's called a cherry picker or a mobile crane. And so we set up an MOT on the street that we just walked down. And so we will close down that street during the daytime and limit it to eastbound traffic or westbound traffic coming out of the building. That allows us to continue the process. It's a little bit slower than using the tower crane, because once the tower crane is up, no crane needs to move. It's just the arm is swinging.
Sure.
Problem here is that the tower crane has to set up, and like I said earlier, you only do one pick at a time. So it's a little bit slower process, but we're keeping the project moving for the owner. Another thing too, if you look up ahead, you'll see the overhead lines to the south. Yeah. So those overhead lines have to come down. So we're currently preparing this south elevation. As you can see, if you can get closer, this south elevation all has to get backfilled. And so we're focusing on getting that area backfilled so that we can get FP&L in to be able to pull their lines for the underground utilities that serve the multifamily just to the south of our property line.
Okay.
So to the south of our property line, there are 3 two-story multifamily buildings. They are being served by those overhead lines.
Yeah.
So in order for us to go vertical on this side, the crane cannot get within 10 feet of those overhead lines.
Oh, yeah.
So it used to be, back in the day, they would put insulators on those lines so that the guys could go vertical. But that's not the safest way to do it.
Yeah, wait.
So what we want to do is get the lines in, get this area backfill, call out FP&L, let them pull the lines, and they get those, do the switch. And once the switch is done, those overhead lines come down, and then we're able to move vertical. So.
Okay. Well, really interesting project.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So sorry, how many months until you are going like vertical? Kind of? How many weeks or?
We're weeks away from just going vertical. Actually, hopefully by next week, we're hoping and praying that FAA gives us the green light and gives us a permit. If they are able to give us the green light on the crane, then it's a game changer for this project. So the way you see it today, you come by here 2 weeks from now, then the project will probably be on the second or third level. So
Wow, 2 weeks?
yeah, 2-3 weeks will be on.
Wow,
That's fast.
And when I say second, third level, the way it's being built. So it's kind of being built stair steps. You build this one, then you come to the next one,
Yeah.
and then this one it goes up. It's kind of like what we call billboard style.
Dominoes.
Yeah. So
So let's come back one time
Yeah.
to see the progress. Yeah.
Let's come back when there is
love
something
to have
up.
you guys come
And,
back.
so what's the total duration of a project like that from like groundbreaking to TCO or
Start to finish.
substantial completion?
Start to finish about 28 months.
28 months?
But like
Which is not a lot.
Not
like
so
I
much,
said
yeah.
earlier, we were able to uncover some things that engineers didn't pick up on as far as the time frame is concerned. And because we caught it very, very early, because we're not the first contractor for this project. There was another
took over?
contractor we took over this project almost 3 months in. And so we're moving very fast, taking over a project within like 15 days.
Wow.
And so
So you were able to like kind of do estimating, or you already had the subs?
Yeah, fast track estimating,
So you had to
fast
be
track
very-
everything.
Wow.
And some things get missed, and some things.
Did you feel the
did very
pressure
well.
of the developer? Sorry. Did you feel the pressure of the developer by
Like to go fast.
Yeah, like
They needed to go
since he was
fast.
changing the.
Fortunately, the developers have been very, very good on this project. They have been very understanding of us taking over the project and trying to overcome some of the things that we've had to overcome because we're all in this together. That's another thing too I like to say is that when you develop a relationship with the developer and make it a partnership rather than contractor and developer,
Yes.
then everybody enjoys the outcome.
True.
You go through the challenges together and you come out on the opposite side successful.
So that's the human side, right?
Yeah, the human side of it. We don't believe in walking up to the owner and saying, oh, there's a change order for this, there's a change order for that. We walk up to the owner and we tell them, hey, this is going to be an issue. It could cost us money, but this is what we can do to avoid this cost overrun. And so that's the way we like to.
Contract like that you do. I'm sure you have a contract in place. I'm assuming it's like some sort of like a cost plus or something like that, or what?
Yeah, it's a cost plus.
It's usually
GMP.
the cost plus, right? Right. Oh, it's GMP too?
Yes, GMP too.
All right. So that, I mean, just like out of curiosity,
Can you explain to people what is...
from your experience, like cost plus and guaranteed maximum price, is this what is usually done, or is it like specific to this project?
Most of the times, these projects, these vertical projects, all these projects you see in South Florida, most contractors are not doing these projects as hard bid. Nobody's going to walk in with this much uncertainty in the market and just say, I'm going to do a lump sum price. They negotiate these projects and they try to factor in the risk. That's why you have general contractors who manage that risk.
But GMP is already pretty good, right? Because you're guaranteeing that they're not going to go over this much, and that's also a risk that the contractor is taking, right?
Correct. And let me say something about guaranteed maximum price that a lot of people don't understand. While it is a guaranteed maximum price, it doesn't mean that it's guaranteed, you're guaranteeing that maximum price for anything that goes wrong that is not your fault or that you're not liable for. So
that's an important point.
Yeah, so it only goes so far. It only goes so far.
I see. Interesting to know how it's usually structured in. We've been walking for 5 minutes and we're still on the project.
Yeah, it's still on the project.
It's a pretty big project, huh?
Yeah.
This is the parking area, right?
It's a full
right now
city.
we're by the parking, right?
Yeah. It's a full city block.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Full city block. So I get to get some really good exercise in at lunchtime.
Yeah, you're gonna work out just where I'm going to.
You don't need to go to the gym after a day here.
Yeah, don't have to go to the gym.
That's good. You're
so
saving on the description.
This is the Baker tank. Is what's called for a trade name. Baker tank is really a sedimentation tank. So the dewatering that we discharge from that trench, we discharge it into this. And if you can get a picture, you see the outfall. It goes into the canal catch basin that goes to the canal.
I see.
Yep.
Wow.
So we've had some ups and downs, but like I said, we're working through the issues here, and we're keeping the project moving, and we're committed to turning the project over on time. So what else can you ask for?
Yeah, that's
and we're going to do it with a smile on our faces, because I don't do bitter projects. I like to enjoy the work that I do.
Okay.
I like to enjoy doing work for these developers, because I know that there's a lot of risk involved, financial risk for these developers.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're depending on us.
It's good that you understand that, and
they're depending on us.
I mean, sometimes people they think that the developer is only making money and that's it very easily, but in the end, he's mostly the only one taking this financial risk. So it's good to understand that and to know it. And
I think it's a plus to understand it. That's why when we started this business, the owners started this business, we wanted to be different than everybody else. We wanted to be the good guys. We wanted to be on the right side of history with developers.
On the developers team as well, like working together rather than against, because we've seen a lot of like frictions between contractors and developers.
Exactly.
Often. So
like I said, you get us involved early. We work through the financial pain with you. Maybe we can get to the number, maybe we can't get to the number. But if we can't get to the number, we'll show you how to get to the number. There's always a way to get to a number. It may require what we call value engineering. Yeah. It may require modifications to the structure itself. But hopefully if you get involved soon enough, then the modifications to the structure can happen before you go and sit with the city and go for a development permit. Because that's one of the things a lot of people don't realize, is that counting the costs after you got your development permit is going to cost you a lot of money. Because if you find out that the project needs to change structurally in order for it to pencil out, guess what you got to do? Yeah. You got to go right back to zoning. And that,
ground zero.
So now you got to calculate what is the cost of missing the market by a year. True. And delaying the project and missing the market by a year and holding on to that property and paying out.
And one more year worth of investment. Yeah. So that's less IRR. So you have to be sure you get it right the first time, right?
You got to be sure you get it right the first time. Even if it means slowing things down for about a month to get it just right, do it.
True.
to it.
It's better to spend some time in the beginning to make sure you get it right, and to have to go back to it, and then it will take you way more time.
Yeah,
right?
it's better to have the feeling of wasting time in the beginning than being
Yeah,
in
and
another
also when you launch it, you want to start. It's so frustrating to have to go back to something when you've already deposited permits to the city, right?
There's one thing that I've learned in this industry: developers can't stop.
Yeah.
Once you break ground, you gotta finish. So you better be counting the risks, calculating the risks. You better be establishing relationships with a smile. The worst thing you could ever do is be an impediment to the contractor, to start friction between contractor and developer. The best thing for you to do is everybody comes in, play nice in the sandbox, smile, get along with each other. Some of the things that we do here, man, we invite the developer, come out to the site. Hey, what do you want to eat? We're here. What do you want to talk about? Well, what are some of their challenges? Are we looking good? We ask those questions. And when we're wrong, we own it.
Yeah.
Say, hey, we screwed up, so we'll be working Saturday. So, own your mistakes and, and keep looking forward. Keep looking forward.
Well, you have an amazing project going on here, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Such a pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for having
Absolutely.
us today.
Absolutely. We'll do this again in a couple months, hopefully.
Yeah, let's
I'm
do it.
sure people will love it, and let's
Very, very
be
insightful.
back in a couple of months. See the
Absolutely.
progress.
When you have like 4 or 5 floors, you come back, we go in, and then we walk around. That would be awesome. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much,
Absolutely.
man.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.